manifest in me the discipline of dispelling ignorance and achieving wisdom, and help me renounce ego clinging and lead me to liberation with the 6 virtues, and enlighten me to distractions from my conscious awareness. Now, I wrote that because Medicine Buddha is my guide. And Medicine Buddha, I had to take 3 vows. So the first vow was to help one person in the morning and one person in the afternoon. The second vow was to feed the hungry and clothe the cold. And the third vow was to help women who had been abused by men. So, psychologically abused. We're not talking physical abuse. Psychological abuse by men.
Sometimes I think physical abuse is better.
Sometimes. Okay. So at any rate, those are the vows I took as a propitiant of the Medicine Buddha. So, even though we profess wisdom and eschew ignorance, we're human beings, and we flip and right into ignorance and wisdom out the window because we're human beings, and that happens several times a day. Okay, so nobody's perfect, and nobody's like all the way up here, and nobody's all the way down here. There's some people who, with an IQ of 90, who are capable of profound wisdom, and there's some people with an IQ of 160 who are capable of profound ignorance.
You know what would amaze me sometimes? Like when you're on the New York subway, and there's this person that you think is a vagrant or just not in tune, and you walk by them, and then you get a reading. Does that ever happen to you?
All the time.
I would walk by, and they're telling me, yeah, when you go to the church today, I'm like, what? Why do you want to go to church? It's not Sunday.
So yes, they're downloading it. They can tune in. So the thing is to stay out of judgment. That's the first rule of spiritual enlightenment, is to stay out of judgment, because you don't know. You don't know what they just went through. You don't know what they're going through. You don't know what they're about to go through. And we go into judgment. Oh, look at the way he's dressed. So there was this guy in the bank. This is a black guy in the bank who is a millionaire. So the guy telling the story is a millionaire. And this other black guy comes up with a briefcase full of money. And he immediately, drug dealer, hip hop dude. I mean, he immediately went into judgment on this other black guy. And then he checked himself. He said, excuse me, what kind of business are you in? He says, oh, I'm a financial planner. He almost fell on the floor. Because it's obvious to accuse other people of racial profiling, and here he was doing the exact same thing. And he said, I hate when it happens to me, and I turn around right in 2 seconds. So we really need to check ourselves, stay out of judgment, and just accept people who they are, how they are. Okay?
And sometimes it works for your benefit, because you walk in a room full of oncologists or doctors, and you have this funny hat and the weird thing, and they think they're kind of laughing. They think this guy's not really well in his hat probably, but let him speak anyway, and then they're all like, wow, he has this amount of wisdom. So sometimes it works in your benefit, because they give you the benefit of the doubt, because they think, yeah, you know, he will probably make us laugh, he's a comedian. And then when you come out with this wisdom, they're like, whoa, because they open their doors for you, and now suddenly they're like pleasantly surprised. So sometimes that also works, the prejudgment or this idea that people have from you works in your benefit too.
Well, it works for me, but we're talking about whether it works for you.
It works for me all the time, but yeah. So sometimes it's good that people have judgment, because then it opens a kind of a door, or actually it's kind of, you can take them by surprise. Because you see
I find that when I judge people, that I put them in a box, and then I have to work to get them out of the box. Like I told you about Deandra. When I first saw her, I'm like, why? why would you do, why?
Yeah, I saw all the tattoos,
And you like,
and I was like,
why? Right, you see all her tattoos, head to toe, and you get turned off. Then when she starts to speak, you're like, oh my God. And she's so mature. I mean, she's one of my mothers.
Yeah, but you have the judgment, and you're at the same time aware that you have the judgment.
Yeah,
so
but
you start questioning yourself.
But
it's like, I have the judgment, am I actually right? Why not give her the benefit of the doubt?
Because
if you wouldn't have the judgment, you would probably not do that.
mm-hmm.
Because you have the judgment, that you become aware of it, and then you can do something about it. Because you kind of shine a light on it.
That's an interesting point, but we're not going to labor.
Okay, we're not going to go tangential on it.
Judgment.
Okay, so cycles per second is a measurement of brainwave activity. Okay, so 13 to 26 cycles per second is conscious awareness. Alpha is 8 to 13 cycles per second, which is the altered state of consciousness, hypnagogic and meditative. Theta is 4 to 8 cycles per second, the subconscious awareness. And delta is 1 to 4 cycles per second. Okay? So how do you slow your brain down?
Meditation, breathing,
Breathing and meditation. Now,
and awareness.
okay, but it's
Of your
even
thoughts.
easier than that. It's even easier than that.
Mm.
Your blood flow.
Oh, your blood flow.
If you're forcing blood into your head, then the brain is going to be more active. If you reduce blood flow to the head, you're going to be less active, right?
Mm-hmm.
Is that why you breathe out more than you breathe in before going to sleep?
Exactly. Okay? So if you slow the heart rate by slowing the respiration rate, you slow the brainwave activity. This is science. I mean, it's way easier. They make things complicated. Okay? So if you just slow your breathing, slow your heart rate, you're going to slip into alpha anyway. Now, have you ever been awake and started to fall asleep while you were in a chair, on a couch, right? All the time. And doesn't it feel like you're falling? Or sometimes you even hear
Or like when you drive your car at
Oh, no, she
night.
didn't. No, she, bam.
Okay, that happens. So I'm asking how you feel. Okay, you're projecting, all right?
That was a projection?
And that's okay.
No, it
So-
happens to me when I'm driving a car. Yeah.
Okay, so the question is, do you feel like you're falling, or do you feel like a pa-doom? Do you feel like a knock, or hear a sound as you go down? Yes or no?
I think it depends on how deep you're going, doesn't it?
I feel
I'm
like
asking specifically when you are awake,
Uh-huh.
sitting up,
Uh-huh.
and then you're starting to nod and starting to fall asleep. Do you ever feel like you're falling or hear a sound, pa-doom? And when you hear that sound, you wake up.
I don't have that. What I have is I'll
Never
fall
really
asleep and then I
Never heard
look
the
at the
sound.
clock and not even realize that I was asleep.
Okay.
I can relate to the falling, but not to the sound.
Okay, you can relate to the falling. What about you?
Late falling.
Okay.
I fall asleep, literally.
That's where falling asleep means. That's where it comes from. Okay? Now, when the cycles per second, so remember I was telling you about going down the steps of the basement and looking around and then going down the steps? That is the same thing as the meditative state going down. Okay? Now, I've been doing acupuncture 35, 40 years. I put needles into people and I watch them and I see them go, and other people are like, and some people do not wake up, they just go out, and other people are wide awake the whole time. Everybody's different. It depends upon their brainwave activity, not what I do. Okay?
So there's a synergy.
That's a good word. Okay? So there's a synergy. So I want you to be aware when you meditate that you control the blood flow and the respiration into your brain, and you can slow your brain down. Okay? Now, I used to race motorcycles 120 miles an hour. So at 100, you accelerate up to 100. And then, because you're moving so fast, what does your brain do? Your brain has to slow everything down. Because things are going. So all of a sudden, you're like this. Everything feels like, when you're at 120 miles an hour, you feel like you're in slow-mo. Okay? Because everything else is moving slow. People are driving at 60, you're driving at 120, you're like... So I'm trying to make a relationship. You've probably never driven at 120 miles an hour.
I have. You know I have.
I know you
Because
have.
I'm the thrill seeker. No, because I like that adrenaline rush.
So I'm trying to make a relation to a process that we do to ourselves in order to live. So in order to live, I have to slow everything else down, because if I make a wrong, then I'm... Okay? So falling asleep, if you are conscious of it, then you can guide yourself into theta. And theta is the healing state, or the genius state. So you can put your hands on your liver and say, liver, I need you to regenerate. I can't afford any surgeries or any medical issues. Please, I'm talking to you. I love you. I need you. Please regenerate.
That's what I need to do with my back.
Okay? So no matter what your organ is. Now, what if we did an organ check every night when we went to sleep? What if we actually put our hands on our hearts and say, heart, if I've done anything to insult you, to aggravate you, please forgive me. I need you. You're part of my entire being. Heart, I love you. My kidneys, I know I haven't been drinking enough water, but I really need you, kidneys. I really want you to work. I promise I will start doing everything I can to support you. And you go to every one of your organs and you talk to your organs while you're falling asleep. Because the subconscious takes over.
Is that called lucid dreaming?
Tibetan Dream Programming is lucid dreaming.
Okay.
It absolutely is. Okay? But you got to remember, it came from there, and then they called it lucid dreaming.
Okay.
But it's really dream programming. Okay? And so they make up all kinds of things for it because they want to claim like they discovered it. But I'm going back to the source. All right? So if you can talk to every one of your organs as you fall asleep, the subconscious believes you. The conscious, like, you're not going to lose weight. You're saying that for 20 years. You're going to lose. You ain't going to lose weight. That's the self-sabotage program. But the subconscious, like, wow, I believe her. We're going to do that. Okay, are you listening? Are you listening?
Yeah, she's listening in her. She's listening in her unconsciousness.
She's listening in her.
Listen, I do this. I do this in the morning when I do my group with the senior citizens. I do this arthritis prevention. So I do this with them, but in the day.
Do you have your water?
And they sometimes tell me, you know, like this thing in the day just ran me through the day. So they kind of program their vital organs for the day instead of doing it before the night. But it's very nice to give them to give this to them for night before you go to sleep.
It's like a system check. And you wake up in the morning and your phone says, we checked 300 systems, they're all good.
Yeah.
And you're like, I should be checking my systems.
That's good.
While you were sleeping, we double checked all your systems.
That's good.
You should be checking your systems. Right? So we said when you breathe in, you push down on the kidneys and the adrenals. So breathing in really slow would be good. Instead of, I mean, I watch people. I watch them stand, I watch them walk, I watch them sit. I watch them breathe, and I'm like, should I say something? Should I say, excuse me, young man, come here. I've got a message for you. Your grandfather.
You should see how he says that I walk. It's ridiculous. Nobody that's alive can walk the way he says that I walk. It doesn't.
We're gonna watch her today. When we get to the parking lot and she gets out of the car, watch her
You walk
walk.
like a dog, or
Something like that.
swaying the weight from one side to the other side? Or?
No.
Oh yeah, zigzag. Oh, okay.
Yes, like that. Okay.
It could be from her injuries.
Okay. So,
Tibetan Dream Programming. Let's go back.
sticking to the point is your breathing and your heart respiration, you have control over. So if you have control of that, you have control of your brainwave patterns. If you have control of your brainwave patterns, you have control of your thoughts. And the thought is the thing that trips us up. Okay? So, oh, I forgot. Oh, are we videoing right now? Because I just went right in front of the camera to get something. I forgot that I'm the one who set up the camera. Okay? That's just simple unconsciousness. But we have the power to control the unconsciousness. We have that. Okay? And that's from posture. Okay? So 90% of the time, I sit like this. Okay? And I sit like this to make sure that channel from the base of the brain to the base of the sacrum is clear and free. Okay? So several years ago, I got a brand new couch and I got a brand new screen TV, and I'd sit on the couch every night. Every night. And I had birds. I had lovebirds. And so I would sit with the lovebirds in my lap, and then it was time to go to bed. The lovebirds would go, and they would get in their cage and they'd go to sleep. And I'm sitting there, the TV is watching me, because I'm nodded out, and the bird's like, I'm like, what? Oh, you want me to go to bed? Right. The TV's too loud. I'm sorry. So I have to turn off the TV to accommodate the birds so I can go to sleep. The birds are telling you. They're telling me.
It's funny.
3 months
it really
later.
is. That's amazing. I'm just like, wow.
Yeah. My dog is doing that. He's sitting next to me and he's like,
bird never wanted to go back in the cage.
he's like, what?
Oh, my birds, they're like,
Time to go
I'm
to
out.
sleep.
Deandra's bird is like that too. Her bird is like Ray Ray. And he comes out and he's ready to go. She's like, put me back in my cage. My bird,
So after 3 months of sitting on the couch like this, I got a crook in my neck. So I'm like rubbing my neck and I'm needling myself. I'm like, where did this neck pain come from? And then all of a sudden I realized, you've been sitting like this for 3 months. So now I gotta sit like this for 3 months to fix it.
Yeah.
So I had this woman, 75 years old. She comes in, she's got a shoulder pain. So I needle the shoulder, doesn't work. 6 sessions later, still doesn't work. So I feel bad, she's 75. So then something said, how do you sleep at night? She said, oh, I always sleep on my right shoulder. How long have you been doing that? Oh, 50 years. Flip and lay on your left shoulder. Oh, okay. The next day, my shoulder doesn't hurt anymore. So here we have a situation. I didn't fix her shoulder with acupuncture, but I asked the right questions to get to the solution. Okay? So what are we doing? Where is our unconsciousness? So this guy comes to me and says, I have a rash on my foot. Can you help me? So I'm plugged in. I said, how long have you had the rash? He says, well, ever since my wife got this new job. And I said, okay, what does your wife do? Oh, she runs this hair salon. And I said, when your wife got the hair salon, now you get the rash? He said, well, she takes off every Thursday, and I go and I fill in for her on Thursday so she can have a day off. So I said, what do you do at the hair salon? Oh, there's this really cool Mexican place next door. They got hot peppers, and I go over there and they eat all these hot peppers. When does your foot break out? Oh, every Friday morning I wake up with this rash.
Didn't put it together, huh?
And he's like, you think it was the hot peppers? I say, $50, please. So we're unconscious. And we run around saying, stay woke, stay woke. We don't even know what's going on inside of us,
No,
let alone what's going on outside of
I was trying to explain to
us.
Sophie today about, she was asking me one question, but I was saying about the accidents, that mantra that I had made up, that I realized I had made that mantra. And the universe was just like, okay, you love everything about Houston but the driving. I have to fulfill what you're stating.
Exactly. The universe answers all questions. And your body, your subconscious, believes you. Your conscious mind doesn't believe you. Your subconscious mind honors all requests. Okay? So who are you talking to?
Yourself.
Okay, which aspect? The subconscious or the conscious? The conscious lives in the world of appearances.
So
Okay?
unconscious.
I have to color my hair because I don't want anybody to see I'm gray. Well, believe me, 98% of the women over 50 have gray hair. So coloring your hair, just make your gray hair look beautiful. Okay? But I can't tell people that because they'll... Okay? So my issue is consciousness comes from breathing and respiration. Breathing and pushing blood, circulating blood. And that is the trick to Qigong. That's the whole crux of Qigong, is moving your Qi and blood. So I can sit here in this chair and generate heat. So when people say, aren't you cold? I'm like, never. Aren't you hot? Never. Because I can regulate my own body temperature. I can open the pores of my skin and push moisture out to cool me off whenever I need to.
Wasn't that interesting when the Chinese guy was doing the exercise and the chi bumps?
That's right.
And you got the chi bumps too, right? I didn't get the chi bumps.
He pushed blood to the surface of his skin and he got goosebumps all on his arms. He could literally...
I think he's like,
Make goosebumps appear.
Right.
chi bumps.
Yeah, well, we call them goosebumps,
Chi
chi-bumps, whatever. So, we have that power. That's all that I'm trying to say. Okay, now, if you turn your page over, there's 4 categories. Discovering my conscious awareness, freeing myself, being here now, interacting with others. Okay? So, conscious awareness is the animal human. Okay? Freeing myself is the psycho-spiritual awareness. So, conscious awareness, psycho-spiritual awareness. So, there's our day-to-day issues, and then there is our own internal issues. Okay? So, it's how I operate in the world. And then, like, I gotta wash clothes, I gotta go to the store, I gotta do this, I gotta wash the car, I gotta pay the bills, I gotta call my mother, I gotta walk the dog. And so we can easily be unconscious about our day-to-day. We can be easily unconscious about that. But then, how do we operate in the world? How do we show up? Okay? And so your operating system is how you show up in the world. So unconditional love is forgiveness, acceptance, non-judgment, compassionate understanding, and loving kindness. Okay? Now we run around like, You offended me. You insulted me. You said this to me. You did that to me. You know I like blah, blah, and you told me that you were going to do it, and you didn't do it. Bad you. And so we externalize everything. So first thing, forgiveness. What is forgiveness? I can't forgive you because I'm still mad at you. So say you're sorry. Say you're sorry. Yeah, I'm sorry. You're not sorry. Of course I'm not sorry because I'm still angry.
Right.
So how do I get out of the anger in order to forgive?
Good question.
How do I get out of the anger in order to forgive?
Give it away.
Give it away. That's close.
Transform the anger into energy.
You have to release the anger. You have to let it out. Okay? Now, you could let it out against a tree. You could take a belt and beat the pillow. You could take a tennis racket and hit a ball. You know? You could take a plastic bat and hit a dress dummy. I mean, there's many ways. You could go jogging. You could lift weights. There's many ways to externalize the anger. Okay? Now, I'm angry at you. I'm going to wait 24 hours before I talk to you. Because now the anger is gone, and whatever triggered it, I can talk about it without the emotional charge. So the forgiveness is dependent upon releasing the emotional charge. Okay? Because when we have an emotional charge, and your friend is pulling you away, and you're like, hey, another thing. And because you're charged up.
Right.
Okay? So you have to release that emotional
And pick
charge.
an appropriate time.
But is it not, when you release that, let's say I'm very angry because my neighbor has put whatever trees in front of my yard and I cannot park my car, I'm really angry. So instead of yelling at him, I can use that anger, I'm not releasing it, I'm using it because I want to cut those trees. So what about transforming that anger into something positive?
Okay, we transform our
Instead of
anger into
releasing it.
compassion.
Yeah, because if I release it, it's gone. What a waste. There was this beautiful opportunity, all this energy.
Okay, so what kind of trees? Adult trees or baby trees?
It doesn't really matter. I mean, it was just an example.
Okay,
Yeah, it's not really-
okay. So confrontation can be positive. Okay? So I have several friends who are, they're good at confrontation, and I watch them and I really learn from them. Okay? And they're like, we have a problem because I don't like what you did. And so I know that you don't want me as an enemy. I know you don't want me breathing down your neck. So let's figure out a way to peaceably solve this problem. So this is what I want. I want you to blah, 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 blah. What do you want? Oh, you want me to go F myself? Okay, that's not going to work because that's not going to end well for either one of us. So let's think of another solution. So whatever negative the guy says back to him, he flips it automatically back. Let's make a positive solution. And he'll do that 10 times in a row until the guy's like, okay.
I agree. Yeah.
He just wears them down. Because, like, we know how badly this can end. You know, calling the police and baseball bats. We know that. Let's figure out another way. You don't want to go to the hospital. I don't want to go to jail. Let's figure this out. So he's relentless. And the other guy just finally just folds. Okay? Persistence removes resistance.
Good.
I already wrote it down.
So, but you still think that you should release those, whatever you call negative energies, like, for example, anger?
Okay, so my friend doesn't hold negative charges because over his 50 years in business, the slings and arrows and insults and attacks and lawsuits, he's just like, he doesn't take a charge.
Like a martial artist in life, yeah.
Exactly.
But also when you hold it, it can manifest into other types of things.
Such
in
as
your
sickness.
body,
Yeah, it manifests as
mental,
sickness.
Yeah.
Right.
So I mean, me personally, I can't. I've worked diligently to be conscious of my timing, but I'm not gonna not let you know.
Okay, so so forgiveness starts with release, releasing the charge, and then confrontation with a positive outcome. That's forgiveness. Now, the second layer to that is, I don't need to forgive you because you haven't done anything wrong. All you've done is act in your self-interest.
Mm-hmm.
That's all you've done. You haven't done anything to me.
Mm-hmm.
You know, unless you're trying to cut my foot off with an axe. You know what I mean? Unless you're direct harm, I don't need to forgive you. Okay? So I need to alter my energy field so that I don't need to forgive anyone. Because I know everyone acts in their own self-interest. Okay? And when everybody acts in their own self-interest, then...
Uh-oh.
Whoa!
Uh-oh.
I hear everything
See?
you said. Everybody acting on self-interest. I heard it. My eyes don't have to be open.
Okay. So, that's what I say. So,
Okay.
did I say that?
Yeah, you do.
So the issue for us is not holding on to anything. And that takes us to level 2, which is non-judgment. So from forgiveness to non-judgment. And then level 3 is acceptance. Oh, you did that. Oh, that happened. I can't change it. I can't dial it back, make it not happen. So I can be upset about it. That happened. Oh my God, that happened. Or I can just say, that happened. Okay, how do we fix it? How do we resolve it? Okay? Forgiveness, non-judgment, acceptance. Then we get into compassionate understanding. Okay? Well, why did you do that? Well, that was stupid. You shouldn't have done that. Why'd he go there? Why? That was stupid. He shouldn't have gone there. And so we replay in our heads our judgment of their
But
action.
you know what? Everybody does that.
Of
Because
course
that's
they
what
do.
happened at the bathhouse.
Right.
You shouldn't tuck in the bag. And da-da-da-da-da. I'm like, well, I'm thinking I'm safe.
Okay, so everybody does it. Everybody on the planet. 6-year-olds do it. 66-year-olds do it. So our issue, because we're trying to elevate, is compassionate understanding. Okay? So there's no blame, shame, or guilt. There's no projection. There's like, wow, I'm really sorry that happened. What can I do to make you feel better right now? A cup of tea? You do that to me all the time. You say, you need a cup of tea? Compassionate understanding. She exhibits it all day long. Okay? So if you can give compassionate understanding, then the next step is loving kindness. Okay? Now, who's the first person we have to exhibit loving kindness to?
Ourselves.
And we always put ourselves last on the list. We're always last. We put everything and everyone else first. That's childhood programming. Always look out for the other guy.
But you know what? Because the master said, love each other as you would love yourself.
Right. And
And
you
people
don't
go-
love yourself, so you can't love.
You can't love, exactly.
You can't.
That's really harsh on your eyes, maybe.
You know, because
You
people
can't.
think that the master was all meek and mild, but it was like, hey, I'm the king. And then when they started to argue, he's like, well, who do you think I am? Tell me who you think I am, because I'm clearly the king.
Right. That compresses. You can. You want it brighter? Or you're gonna lose the video.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's dark.
It's
Yeah.
dark, it should be
Yeah,
dark.
but you need the light.
The
Okay.
light is really harsh.
The
Well,
glare.
It's
You
up,
want the
it's
ink?
up lighting, so it can't be on that harsh. Okay, so unconditional love is forgiveness, non-judgment, acceptance, compassion, understanding, and loving kindness. Okay, now, what are the 5 love languages?
Is this Gary?
Yes. What are the 5 love languages?
Some people give gifts.
Giving
Oh, yeah,
gifts,
giving gifts.
Some people talk.
words of praise, spending time,
Kissing.
acts of service,
Acts of service.
loving touch. Those are the 5 love languages. Okay? Now, what did your father do for your mother?
Bought big houses.
Okay. And what did he do for you?
Oh my God, he did all of, well, yeah, everything. He was everything.
Just give me one
okay.
example.
He, it was words of encouragement.
Words of praise and giving gifts. Okay. What did your mother do for you? Spending time. Acts of service.
Acts of service.
Okay. What did your parents do for you?
I guess the words of encouragement and spending time.
Spending time. You didn't get gifts.
We had family day.
Okay. But you didn't get gifts.
We got gifts too, on holidays.
On special occasions, but
Yeah.
not random
No.
gifts. Okay. And what did your parents do for you?
They gave me a lot of love and a safe space and a kind of a security net feeling. If you
Oh.
fall, we will be there.
Okay. So that's sort of like acts of service and spending time. Okay. And well, safe space, I guess, words of encouragement as well.
Yeah.
Okay. But not giving gifts.
Yeah, gifts of kindness.
But were they random, or this is like birthday and Christmas and
Birthday and Christmas and lots of hugs and kisses.
hugs and kisses?
Gifts
Okay.
like that. Yeah.
Okay, loving touch. Okay,
Miss Daniel?
okay. Okay. So the issue for me was my parents never gave gifts. So I married a woman, and her love language was giving gifts. So she gave me presents and was expecting presents. Well, I was like, oh my God, a present. I never got a present before. Oh my God, another present. I never got a present before. But it never occurred to me to buy her a present. So after a couple of years, she's like, you know, you're kind of short on the gift giving thing. You know, what's up with that? So we were already married 2 years before we got into the conversation. And I was like, oh my God. So I went out and I bought her clothes. She hated them. I went out, I bought her jewelry. She hated them. I went out and bought her shoes. She hated it. She said, do me a favor, don't buy me any more gifts. I was so traumatized by that
That's
I never bought anybody a gift ever again for 25 years. Because my first attempt at trying to buy gifts for my wife, that's terrible. I would never wear that. Why would you buy that for me? Oh my God.
That's horrible.
Yeah, I thought so.
That's really sad. It makes me want to cry, really.
So I was like, okay, you ruined it for every woman who ever came after you. No gifts for you because of her. Now, in retrospect, I'm explaining it that way, but in the moment, I was really traumatized.
It's something that really wounds you.
Yeah. So I had to learn the love languages all over again and create relationships and say, what's your love language? What can I do to make you feel wanted and needed and loved and supported? Wow. So my love language is words, as you know. So I'm always praising people and thanking them and making them feel comfortable. But some people are like, I'm waiting for the present. Because that's their love language. Okay?
Yeah, I mean, it's really important because I have a friend, my mother, my alternate mother, and her husband is a workaholic. So she wants time. And he buys gifts.
Mm-hmm.
So they're always like, you know, even though they're married and everything.
That happens a lot with workaholics. They try to compensate with gifts.
But that's his love language.
Mm-hmm.
He loves her, so he's buying her. Like,
Gifts.
I'm like, girl, that ring is the bomb. What?
And she
Shit,
wants,
let
I
him
want
stay
time,
work.
right?
Cause me, you could go work, boo. Work, I'm fine,
Okay.
but yeah.
So we have enough information here to look at what our operating system is and how we can tweak it. Okay? If we can tweak our operating system and take it up 2 notches every couple of months, we can take it up. Every couple of months, we can take it up. A year from now, we're going to be freaking awesome. Right? Okay. So this concludes part 2.